we're doing CSR, which is fabulous. We're skilling people in low economic families because it makes for, it's good for us to do that. Because leadership means that we need to be able to generate leaders that will change the dynamics of this country for better, for good. And that's why in the UK, I spend a lot of my time mentoring. I mentor all sorts, from all backgrounds, men and girls, because for me the role of mentoring is an ability to be able to say, if I can do it, so can you. That's the thing. So, thank you very much for hearing me today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam, for your lovely speech and interspersing it with your own experiences. May I now invite Ms. Meenakshi Lekhi, Member of Parliament, to give her special address.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Manju. Thank you, Baroness, for giving us a very interesting inaugural address. Subhashji, Neetaji, Jyotsnaji, and Ms. Garudia, all my friends, lovely ladies, and a few gentlemen. This is one occasion where I see more women than men, and I feel great about it. And this is how I think the future boardrooms should look like. When so you have to follow your dreams, and I have to follow my dreams, and I'm sure we'll meet somewhere, because the dreams are what the future is made up of. Interestingly, from a child born in Amritsar to another child born in New Delhi, and Delhi always was exciting. I grew up in Delhi, lived all my life in Delhi, and hopefully will die here only. Nowhere to go. One may travel the world, but home is Delhi. And when I look around, I see the changes, not just 30 years, but close to 50 years, which Delhi has undergone. And when I see those changes, the strength of fighting back, the strength of character, the skills, and normally laughingly I would say I've grown up in the jungles of Delhi. And the jungle of Delhi, because the fighting skills that you derive out of getting into the bus, getting into the metro as a young kid, going to your school, going to your college, studying here, all those skills help you later in life. And those are the skills which put you very close to being a man. Because when Baroness was talking about, she was talking about that women have some special skills and men need not have those special skills. I would say men also have special skills, which women end up getting them during the course of growing up. And skills are skills which are gender neutral. So there are brave women and timid men. There are very intelligent women and stupid men, or vice versa. There are very fashion conscious men and very badly dressed women. So the skills and the character is something which is gender neutral. And leadership qualities are the qualities which are also gender neutral. It doesn't assess a person that you have to be from a particular gender to be able to perform your daily functions as whatever, as a director, or as a leader, or as an entrepreneur, or as a person, because she comes from energy sector. I was just talking to her. In my area, a whole lot of you come from my area, where we are trying to put IGL gas pipeline and giving up subsidies we are all discussing about. And I'm sure this gathering can always give up the subsidies, especially on the gas pipeline. So gas pipeline, when we were laying down, I found all the plumbers, which is a very technical, highly technical job, are men. So I would wonder, why is it, and I questioned Mr. Dhaka on this, I said, why is it that gas plumbing, which is a highly skilled, highly paying job, is not being done by women? And the answer was were certain delays happening, and I said, why can't we speed it up and why can't we get going? So the answer was that we don't have enough plumbers, and we don't have enough plumbers. I said, how many plumbers do you have? And then very curiously I said, how many men and how many women? So there are no women and only men. So I said, while we look at the structure of the boardrooms, and government very interestingly has given punishment to those who have chosen not to bring women on board, I look at it from the strata where the skill is relevant. Because the discrimination is not just in the topmost echelons, but it starts within the same segment. So even amongst the less paid jobs, or even amongst the poor sector, women are still discriminated amongst them. So skilling goes to men. You know, how many women are there as malis? Has anyone noticed that? And the job of a mali in NDMC or NCD is close to 32,000 rupees a month. But you don't find women. How many people, women who are there to collect the garbage? You do find women in the loos and as sanitation workers. But amongst them also, when it comes to driving a vehicle and collecting the garbage, you don't find women. When it comes to the cab drivers, how many women? Because I think most women sitting here will prefer taking a cab with a woman driver. So you don't have women drivers. How many women on e-rickshaws? You do find, interestingly, just yesterday, Mudra Bank, Mudra, not just bank, Mudra was launched, which is a special initiative. Soft loans to people who contribute the maximum to the economy. Maximum. You know, the most surprising part is we constantly talk about FDI, FDI, FDI. But FDI was never beyond 6% of our GDP. How many of us are even aware of the figures? Even the best of times, it was not more than 6% of the GDP, and usually would vary between 2.5 to 4%. And FDI is a big thing on television screens and all over the newspapers. You know who are the people who make close to 35% of my GDP? Small entrepreneurs. Until about yesterday, there was no policy for them. And you know the kind of loans they are seeking? 15,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees, 50,000 rupees, a lakh, 2, 5, 10 maximum. And there is no government policy till yesterday on these people. We all come from privileged backgrounds, but fortunately or unfortunately, we employ only 1.25 crore of people. The maximum employment generation comes from this sector. And most of us can just scratch the surface, go to our own histories, and we'll find one of our ancestors really came from that impoverished background, worked really hard to make us where we are today. Why can't we hold the hands and make many more success stories out of these very people? And that's where, when Baroness said that we are all going up the ladder, and there are people who are following us. It's our duty to hold their hands and bring them up. And you never know who amongst them will be the future leader of the industry, of a new thinking, of a new product, of a new innovation, which will not only help the country, the Make in India, the Skill India, and further the GDP and everything which we all are very familiar with. And women amongst all sectors, the topmost, the middle, and the bottommost, within their sector, they are a discriminated lot. And because they are a discriminated lot amongst their own sector, the comparison is usually with the grade lower, not their own grade, not their own patch. So they will always be pushed. If there's a woman who's coming from the topmost business family, she'll probably be brought to the level of a middle-rung person, because in the war, she'll probably not be there. And even the discrimination between countries and countries. Interestingly, the Leslie Odwin episode, I'm purposely making that statement because I have Baroness Sandeep Verma's ears to what I have to say on the subject. Interesting part is, very patriarchal thought, India's daughter. I mean, what happens to the British daughters? Has anyone thought about it? Baroness Verma is where she is. I'm sure she's there because of the family support she got. And the Asian roots she very proudly describes. But somebody just needs to apply oneself onto the figures. It is not as if rapes are happening only in India. They happen world over. And here we are some people who get up, who fight the system, who stand by our sisters and daughters, who stand by and associate ourselves to a youngster like a daughter or a sister. There, the society is so thick-skinned. Who won't even stand by you? You can't even gather 50 people in Hyde Park for a cause of rape. But India Gate will get filled, and so will Jaipur, and so will Chennai, and Northeast, and across the country, whichever city, because something happened in Delhi. And we got the government to change the law. A lackluster government which was really not doing much, but we got that government to change the law. We all are even today sensitive about the cause. The percentage-wise, close to 38%. Women in UK are subjected to this wrong. And it is not in India only that there is underreporting. As per the UN report of 2012 and 14, underreporting happens even in those countries. So when it's an issue of women, I think globally, women need to get together. Because even in their society, there is huge discrimination. And it's easy to say, oh, it happens somewhere else. It's always easy to point fingers at others and not correct your own homes. I think there has to be an inward thinking within the social setups. There has to be a thought given to the cause of women, and women need to fight this wrong all over the world together on the same platform. And that's where I think even my friends, who I constantly, of course, General hit them really hard. And because he's a general, so he knows fighting skills, and he definitely knows where to hit, where it's going to, somebody's going to cry really bad. But the issue still remains, are we fair? Even while covering an issue like Leslie Odwin, we did not cover the story right. Everybody made it a case of freedom of speech, which it was not. Because there are 50 documentaries made on this subject. Nobody probably is even aware of. And nobody was stopped from making those documentaries or discussing this subject. You know how the ban came about? The ban came about because there was an undertaking given to the authorities at Tihar jail. And the undertaking was that this shoot is only for educational, academic interest and not a commercial interest. I want to ask Baroness here, does a person, a journalist in her country, get a right to shoot a rapist while the matter is pending before the court in a high-security jail? Can you violate the terms of the contract anywhere in the world? accepted that in India you can do away with all this. It is at this point that the authorities approached the court and got an order from the court that these are the terms under which she was supposed to hand us over an unedited version, which she did not. She's using it for commercial purposes, which she was not allowed to. She's violating the IPC and the CRPC by disclosing the name of the victim, which is not done in my country. Which country permits its own laws to be violated? It is in those circumstances that a ban was imposed, and that was supposed to be a temporary ban because an undertaking was given to the Supreme Court that these corrections will be made and then only this movie shall be shown. So date was preponed. An undertaking to the Supreme Court was violated. Should a government just sit quietly?
No.
No?
Totally
And that's
agree
what the
with you.
government did.
Yes.
And the government brought the ban so that at least the focus is brought on the issue of disempowering women, which happens across the world and not just India. So don't single out my country.
No.
And women of the world needs to collect together. And sometimes I very happily and warmly say that for me, Vasudev Kutumbakam. World is a big family. I don't discriminate between daughters. Whether they are British, they are American, they are Indian, European, whichever country they may come from, because daughters are daughters. And I want to adopt all those daughters who are abandoned by their own families, who are abandoned by their own societies, and who are abandoned by their own governments. I want to adopt all of them, and I want FLO to help me adopt all those daughters. Thank you.